Hello everyone. Today's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to do a video like I normally do where I do an in-depth dive into a topic. I'm pretty busy this week and I've been working on something. So I wanted to show that off instead and get some feedback from anyone who's watching in the community. So recently I had made a damage calculator for DC-20. So this is the old version that you can see on screen now. And what you can do is you can basically mess around and plug in some values, so I can change the base damage of a weapon or attack that I'm using. And I can choose things like if I wanted to attack with advantage or disadvantage. I can choose an attack bonus like flanking or versatile, things like impact and PDR. And this was pretty much it. It gave me this table, this little graph and a table, and the graph never really seems to fit perfectly. I would love to hear if anyone in the comments knows how I can pin a graph so that it stays within a certain sort of block of cells like this. That would be great, but I didn't really find a way to do that, so the graph's gonna kind of be a little bit awkward like that. That being said, I can mess around with 4 different attacks, and on top of that, I could even add combinations of attacks. So I could say, hey, what if I wanted to combine attack 1 and attack 3? Well, now I get this new line here that's going to show me what the average damage is going to be like for those attacks. And the way it works for anyone who's trying to read this is average damage is kind of showing you, if you were to make like 100 attacks, right? What would the average of the average damage of those attacks be, right? So this is accounting for things like missing, getting heavy hits, getting brutal hits, getting crits. All of that stuff is kind of factored in together. And what you can see here down at the x-axis is the target value, and the target value basically shows us. You can think of it as the number you need to roll on the dice to hit, right? So let's say I have a +4 to hit, and my enemy has 16 PD, right? Then that's going to mean I need a 12 to hit. So my target value is a 12. That's kind of the idea, right? So essentially, this is showing me the range of PD values I need to target. Now, this is good. This calculator works fine. The numbers are okay. Like the numbers are check out and they're totally fine. But it lacks a little bit of sophistication. And there's some features I wanted to add to this calculator that I didn't really have the chance to. And so that's what I've been working on recently, is I've been working on sort of an upgraded version of this calculator. So here we can see my work in progress, same basic gist of it, right? But you can see here I've decked out how many options we have. So I still am working out basically all the numbers for one attack. And once I get one attack working, getting the other attacks is basically just a copy and paste job. So a lot of the same info here. Difference is, instead of having flanking and versatile or whatever, I've just turned that all into a to hit number, right? So whatever your bonus is to hit, you can choose a number. So normally, let's say it's a +4 at level 1, and then I'm flanking, make that a +6, right? Things I've added here that didn't exist on the previous one. I've added help dice. Now, this is the thing I'm currently working a lot to implement, because help dice are a pain in the butt to implement. And on top of that, I've decided to go down the hellish path of implementing the ability to add 2 help dice, meaning you could implement, what if I did an attack and I had a D8 and a D4? This is where a lot of the effort is going into right now. Because there's, as you can imagine, a lot of possible combinations. There's a lot you have to account for, like the possibility to be able to get a brutal hit that you couldn't get otherwise, right? But it's not always a brutal hit, so sometimes the PDR is going to be bypassed, and sometimes it's not. It's a little bit of a mess, but I'm working through that mess, and it's definitely doable. And I've added some other options. So previously I just had impact, but I had some people ask me to put in some of the other things you can get. So I've added monk bear stances in there, which functions kind of like impact, but not entirely, because monk bear stance can also happen on a crit. Impact is just on heavy hits. And orc brutal strikes, which only apply on a brutal hit. And so they don't apply on heavy hits. So all 3 of these are unique from each other, and you can choose, you could have all of them counting together. And I've added another thing too, which is half on miss. This is nice. You can see it kind of flatlines a little bit of the damage here. So, previously you can get down to basically 0 damage. And these numbers aren't totally great yet because I still need to play around a little bit with what's happening. Whereas here, we're kind of building towards that. Here I can have things like the enemy's PDR, and I can have things like the resistance, which I've implemented half, and everything up until 10. I have these numbers, so you can't really pick crazy values. I'm not sure what the resistance maximum possible like resistance flat number is going to be. I put 10, and if you end up fighting enemies that do more than 10, yeah, something's definitely wrong here, because this should not look like this. So if you're fighting enemies that have, some really high resistance that's above 10, I guess this calculator is not going to work. But if you're fighting enemies with more than 10 resistance, the game's probably already in full release, and I've probably updated this calculator. Okay, so this is the gist of what's in this calculator. And another neat trick to this calculator that I've changed is I've let you selected the defense range. So you can choose, you can see on the top right here, I have the option to select the defenses I'm targeting. So I can change this. Instead of 6, I'm going to say, what if I want to target enemies anywhere that have a PDR, or sorry, a PD or an MD of 8 all the way to, let's say, 20, right? The graph will automatically scale to fix this, and it'll sort of have the limit. So you can see the lowest value here is 8 on my graph, and the largest one is 20. Technically, looking on the graph, if you click on the graphs, it will show you the numbers at each of these values. So we can see, 18, my average damage is 2.73, right? So this is what I'm working on right now. And I'm posting this video partially just to have something come out this week. Keep all praise to the algorithm gods and please them. But I also wanted to hear from anyone. If anyone has any comments either on ways to get this graph to be stuck in place, that would be great. If someone can give me that, that would make my life so much nicer and make this calculator so much nicer. But mainly I wanted to hear if anyone had any recommendations on things they wanted to see. So kind of looking at this top attack 1, if you see something here, you don't see something that you think would be really neat to have into this calculator, let me know. I'm definitely still in the stage where I am looking to add things in. I put out a message on the Discord in the rules discussion like, hey, what other things are there in the game like Impact that I should add in here? And so that's where I added in Monk, Bear Stance, and Orc Brutal Strikes. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you have any ideas on what you would like to see in this calculator. I'm going to have the 4 attacks and the combination. I am not probably going to add different enemies. That's a thought I had, was just to separate out the enemies and have like enemy 1, enemy 2, and enemy 3. This gets to be a little bit of a mess though, to show everything on the same graph. So I've decided to not do that. I have worked on a calculator that does that for a dev of the game, but I have decided for this calculator I did not want to go with that path. So let me know in the comments if anyone has any ideas. I'm happy to hear you all out and make this calculator the best possible resource it can be for the community. So that's just about it. Just want to update y'all on why there's no video this week and see if anyone has any cool ideas on what I can add. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching, and until the next time, have the best time.